Hi, this is Maria from Conscious Nuggets, and today I want to talk to you about what it actually means to be conscious. You might wonder, why would I even want that, to be conscious? It sounds like such a new age term, doesn't it? Well, spoiler alert, the answer is because the quality of your life depends on it, and I'll explain why. On a very basic level, being conscious means being aware of things you weren't aware of before. And essentially, I believe it's about two things in particular. Number one, living life deliberately. And number two, it's about joining the dots. So let me explain what I mean by each. So, becoming conscious means living life deliberately, because let's face it, modern life is busy, super busy in fact, and there's a lot of noise around us, a lot of white noise in the background. Most of us tend to go about life being on autopilot, okay, driven by all these different obligations or perceived obligations. Becoming conscious means realizing that it doesn't have to be like that. Taking a step back and gaining perspective. Starting to live a life that is self-directed as opposed to decided for us without even realizing. And a life with purpose, whatever that means to you individually. Now, being conscious is fundamentally about joining the dots, both with regards to the outer world and ourselves. And what I mean when I say joining the dots with regards to the outer world, it's about understanding the interconnections and the causal link between different events and things like social and cultural context, education, and the motivational drivers by different people and social groups. It's about stepping out of the frame we live in and start to understand the fabric it's made of by starting to question things. When we are conscious, we are basically less impressionable, meaning that we are less easily impressed or imprinted with certain thoughts or a line of thought, despite its popularity or intuitive appeal. We are able to look beyond discourse, and rather than just accepting and taking for granted the statements and beliefs that are fed to us and sold to us as hard realities, we are able to understand the origin of those. Being conscious means having a curious mind, and I'm going to come back to that. With regards to joining the dots when it comes to your inner world, it's about understanding the origin of your experience and feelings. Realizing that how you experience life and the reality you create for yourself is directly linked to the state of your inner world. Being conscious means becoming aware of what lies under layers of conditioning and becoming aware of the fact that you've unconsciously made decisions about yourself, your worth, and the world around you at a time in life in which you couldn't fully discern and didn't have the full picture, aka childhood. Peeling back those layers, truly understanding yourself, is part of becoming conscious. Ultimately, as we become more and more conscious, we become more sovereign in ourselves. That means we are less prone to being overly affected by external stimuli and our own emotions and unconscious triggers. We start to see more clearly, and we gain choice and agency as we stand more grounded in ourselves. When it comes to ourselves, being conscious really just means getting out of our own way, realizing that and how we've been getting in our own way in the first place. Because it's something that we tend to do to a much greater extent than we're even aware of, believe me. And through no fault of our own necessarily. we just don't know how our mind works. We are not aware of that. We don't realize what makes us tick and what actually drives our behavior. No one teaches us those things at school that I'm going to talk about here in my channel. And it's only once we look at those things that we become truly empowered. A conscious self is an empowered self. Now, I have had quite a few light bulb moments on my way to becoming a more conscious self. And whilst I'm still on this journey, I feel compelled to sharing those insights and helpful ideas with you here as part of my channel. And don't get me wrong, being conscious doesn't mean having all the answers, because I certainly don't. But it means instead to ask the right questions. And not just that, it means daring to ask the right questions, especially when it comes to ourselves. So for example, how come we always go back to that relationship that actually just keeps causing us pain? Why are we still in that job that stresses us out so much and makes us unhappy? How come we find it so hard to speak our mind and stand up to some people? Just a few examples. So can you see how a conscious mind is a curious mind? I actually believe that we all, to some degree, on some level, sense what the things are that we should be paying attention to and that we should attend to. But we don't, for different reasons. Because we are so busy, because we sense that it might entail a hard work. But ultimately, when we become conscious, we're being rewarded with being, I guess, at peace within ourselves and with living the most fulfilling life possible. So I think it's worth it. And if you're interested in going on this journey with me, hit subscribe. And please leave your comments. I want to know and hear about your thoughts on being conscious and how far you've gotten on that journey. Also, share this video if it resonated and like it. And I'll see you next time here at Conscious Nuggets.